This is pretty crazy stuff. If you thought the propaganda was bad last year, it's going to be even worse this year. The state of Israel is now allocating $725 million to state propaganda campaign worldwide. This was just reported a couple days ago. And keep in mind that last year, 2025, Israel allocated 150 million. This upcoming year, 2026, that number is going to be more than 4x that amount. This was posted in the Jerusalem Post. Smotrich and Gideon Saar approve 2.35 billion shekels in hasbara budget for campaign influencers in 2026. The budget will be used for campaign to raise awareness and promote Israel worldwide, with 1 billion shekels already authorized by the government. And this is Gideon Saar here. Now, I want to make it very clear before I really get into this article that Israel recently had a firm conduct a study about a few months back, and they discovered that it's much harder to get people to side with Israel, but it's much easier to get Israel to push Arab hate and to grow anti-Arab sentiment. So Israel doesn't necessarily need you to like it. It just needs to make sure that the West hates Arabs more. So when you think about the propaganda campaign that Israel's going to be pushing, you're definitely going to get your typical influencers that are just straight up pushing Israeli propaganda that everybody can easily call out on social media. That's no problem at all. But Israel goes a lot further than that. It's the small things that most people don't even recognize. For example, I've previously made a video on the fact that Israel geolocates, pushes advertisements geolocating churches in the United States. Why? Because by pushing campaigns around where church zip codes are, and by making sure you're geolocating them within 100 meters, you're pushing advertisements to specific churches in the US whenever they go on social media around that church. Not only are they geolocating churches for advertisements, but just a couple of days ago, we're seeing actually, this was just 11 hours ago, correct me, U.S. Ambassador Mike Huckabee. Take a look at this. U.S. Ambassador Mike Huckabee addresses the foreign ministry of Israel in the largest delegation ever to Israel. That is absolutely wild. Take a look. Let me zoom in here so you guys can see it better. He's brought tens of thousands of supporters to Israel. Multiply that by 1,000 pastors now visiting to understand the extent of support for Israel out there. So you're gonna be getting more of this, where money is now going to be allocated to U.S. churches to give preachers and students and young churchgoers free trips to the Holy Land, where they can be fed Israeli propaganda the entire time. That's where some of this money is going to be allocated. Okay, so you're going to see it towards anti-Arab. You're going to see it towards Arab hate. You're going to see a lot of that sort of stuff on social media. You're going to be seeing a lot of Muslim hate on social media. Israel tends to spend a lot of money there because it noticed that it's easier to push its initiatives when it prioritizes that. Okay, you don't necessarily need to like Israel, but as long as you're willing to push anti-Arab policy, which includes being critical and not supporting a Palestinian state, then that's all that matters to Israel. Then you're good. It just has to make sure that the enemy of my enemy is my friend type of situation. So now let's get into the article a little bit more because it is absolutely wild. This is again Gideon Saar that I just previously mentioned. Finance Minister Bezalel Smotrich and Gideon Saar agreed on the budget. The budget will be used for campaigns to raise awareness of Israel. Alongside the budget increase, the government approved my proposal to establish a public diplomacy unit in Foreign Affairs Ministry. Accordingly, a head of the public diplomacy unit will be appointed to the ministry, just as there is a head of the political unit. The unit will coordinate the ministers working on the issue of publicizing. The budget will also be used, among other things, to fund social media campaigns, collaborate with civil society organizations, bring delegations of leaders, elected officials, influencers, and others to Israel, the government said in a statement. I just showed you one perfect example of influencers and leaders and delegations coming to Israel from the churches. Our enemies are investing huge sums against us. Israel has acted with very modest means and must now both increase resources and adopt new and up-to-date methods. The amount approved are still modest in relation to the challenges that Israel faces in the world, but this is a significant breakthrough. This is, I don't even want to hear his voice right now. It's nauseating. It's probably in Hebrew as well. One of the main points of the 2026 budget is a rise in defense spending, yada, yada, yada. So we are allocating a huge budget to also strengthen the military, but also one that allows us to return to the state of Israel to a path of growth and relief for citizens. That is their that is kind of their game plan. Now I'm going to show you guys something even crazier. There was actually a microphone placed at one of the events where uh, Israel's Israel's minister was speaking at an event that was speaking at an event regarding propaganda campaign and information warfare. This is coming from the previous documentary, the Israel Lobby, and I have just a small clipping of that I'm going to show you guys because when I listen to this and you see just how far these Israelis are going to make sure that Americans are obsessed with Israel, it's absolutely shocking. So take a listen to this.
We are a different government working on foreign soil, and we have to be very, very cautious. We have 3 different sub-campaigns which are very, very sensitive regarding data gathering, information analysis, working on activist organization, money trail. This is something that only a country with its resources can do the best.
Sima Vekman Gill is the Director General of Israel's Ministry of Strategic Affairs. He was speaking to the gathering of the pro-Israel lobby in Washington.
If we want to win, we have to change our ways. We have to think differently. And this is waging a holistic campaign against the other side. Take him out of his comfort zone. Make him be on the defensive.
Israel is involved in a secretive influence campaign whose aim is to discredit its challengers in the West.
So that is what they're doing. It's information warfare, guys. This is how they say it. They go ahead, this is information warfare. And I love that one sentence she stated because it really shows the level of absolute mania. We have to put our enemy on the defensive, and they're not talking about combatants in the army. They're talking about putting information warfare, putting their critics on the defensive. Okay, so I can talk and make these videos about all of the crazy things Israel is doing, but Israel is going to look at me. My platform, I'm not huge. I have 160,000 on Instagram, not 190 on TikTok, but I have 27,000 here. So I'm not nowhere near the level of the bigger creators that are really being targeted, like Candace Owens, Anna Kasparian, Tucker Carlson, Marjorie Taylor Greene, not an influencer or a leader, but there are much larger platforms they're concerned with. Okay. But let's say that I do get bigger. And and I've talked to my friends about this too. The one difference between me and all of these other people is that at the end of the day, I'm Palestinian. I was born in America. And I'm grateful for that. But at the end of the day, I'm Palestinian. So it's going to be a lot harder to say that Tucker Carlson is affiliated with Hamas. And Candace Owens is affiliated with Hamas. But for a Palestinian with the propaganda out there, they can just literally just put BS together and be like, he's affiliated with Hamas because his last name is Rashid and he's Palestinian. And there is a whole different work. And while I'm putting out all of these videos, they could just be spreading stuff like that. And all of a sudden now, instead of me focusing on calling out Israel in my videos, I'm going to have to make videos being on the defensive. I'm giving you guys just one direct example because that's how these Stop Anti-Semitism organizations and all of these other organizations go after it. More personal note that actually happened. One of my family's a 9-year-old boy from my family's village in the West Bank was assassinated by settlers back in 2023. This was November, I believe, 21st of 2023. And after that happened, it actually did get a pretty decent traction on social media. I made a video about it. A few other people made a video about it. And soon after, I'm going on X, and all of a sudden, I see a photo of him. Again, he's 9, guys. He's 9. I see a photo of him, and there is a Hamas headband that is photoshopped, and you could clearly tell the thing is photoshopped. It was so obvious, and it was photoshopped on him. And you know which account? I don't think it was Beitar. It was one of those accounts similar to Beitar on X, okay, which is basically just ultra right wing, crazy psycho type accounts, posting it and spreading all just straight up lies that this 9-year-old is affiliated with an extremist group. And there will be people that eat this stuff up. So when they say put them on the defensive. What they're doing is they are actively not just calling you out on things you're saying, but they're actually whipping up and concocting totally fake stories and shoving it into the media. And when you're up against somebody that has the power that they have, and let me give you another example. Laura Loomer, okay? Laura Loomer and Mark Levin, they will go on their podcasts and they will spread BS. But what's so interesting is whenever they want to spread a hate campaign targeting somebody, they'll always have the New York Posts on their podcast, and they'll be featuring a New York Post headline that backs up what they're saying. And then you look at the date the New York Post headline was published, and then you'll realize, wait a second, this is kind of what they're up to. They will have their people in the media. The New York Post especially is just basically like absolutely an Israeli government propaganda network. The New York Post, I think, tops that here in the United States. They will have their resources in the media put out headlines that they want them to put out. And then they'll use those headlines as if they're credible sources in the podcast that they do to back up the BS that they're spreading. So it's like they work in tandem. They're working with the media, or even better yet, Candace Owens actually, she previously had the ADL. Do you guys remember when the ADL put out a campaign stating that Christ is King is affiliated with hate groups? Stating the word Christ is King is linked to extremism, and it got a ton of backlash because people were like, "What are you saying? How are you saying this ridiculous thing? That's blasphemy. How are you going about that?" And it was done by the ADL. I believe it was the ADL, and they worked with an organization, a research institute, quote unquote, that was using computer algorithms to track that with accounts that say Christ is King. These are other words they say, and these are other words they say, and this is how it's anti-Semitic in a larger network web of everything else. And after putting together that study and that research paper was funded by Zionists. Okay. Oh, Jordan Peterson was one of the people that was working on this research paper. That research paper was then given to outlets like the New York Post. And the New York Post took this quote research paper, and then they had people like Mark Levin and Laura Loomer make podcasts about the research paper, about the headline that's using the research paper as a credible source of information. So you see how they're working in tandem, and it's like even science now, they hijack it to suit their own interests. Isn't that absolutely crazy? So there's a whole ecosystem that people that are calling out Israel for what they're doing are facing. It's not just, oh, this influencer is putting out straight BS about me. It's, oh wait, this influencer is working with the New York Post and working with the New York Times and working with all of these other news outlets, and then they also have the backing of certain institutions that they're then paying to put out research on specific subject or specific subjects or investigations on specific individuals. They're then using their propaganda outlets to put fake headlines about the fake research that they supposedly conducted, and then they have this entire story painted to go ahead and attack somebody, and just like that, the world believes them. And now everybody just immediately hates and criticizes that individual that they went after. That's how Israel has been doing this. It's truly in the best sense of the word a mafia. They operate like a damn mafia. Okay, they work so synchronized that anybody, it's so difficult for somebody working on the other side that has a microphone and just has a camera and is speaking to you guys. It's so much more difficult to be up against because you're working with a whole damn information warfare army, and they know that. They know that. That's the worst part of it all, is that they know how much power they have, and they're willing to use it against you. They're willing to completely destroy your life. This is another thing. I don't have the heart to lie. I don't know how they do it. I really don't know how they do it. I don't know how they have the heart to whip up a fake, like they completely concoct a lie. As much as I dislike Laura Loomer, and I talk about how much I despise her. I think she's abhorrent. Absolutely abhorrent. Mark Levin, think the guy's absolutely abhorrent. Okay? Ted Cruz, think the guy's absolutely disgusting. I don't like them. They're bad people. I don't think they're good people. Okay? No matter how much I dislike them, the truth The truth speaks for itself. I don't need to put out fake lies about them or put them on the defensive for things they didn't do. And even if it would have benefited me to do so, I still wouldn't have, because I don't have the heart to do it. I don't have the heart to whip up a concocted story about Laura Loomer's and then spread that and act as if and speak as if it's a true story while knowing full well that I just BS that entire lie to make her look bad. That's where we differ. Do you guys get it? That's where we differ from them, because they're willing to do that. They're willing to just concoct total lies and act like it's truth and then put it out into the mainstream to destroy somebody. I do not know how these people go to bed at night knowing they whipped up just fabrications and toss it. But to them, it's information warfare, right? This is how they do it. This is what they think is required in order for Israel to be safe, quote unquote. This is what they think is required. And if anybody speaks out about it, well, you're anti-Semitic. That's what they'll say. Okay? There is no point at which they will stop. They will go as far as they need to. $725 million on a propaganda network? Perfect. Let's do it. Okay. Bring all these delegations out to Israel and just brainwash the hell out of them? Perfect. Let's do it. Make Miss Rachel look like she's a hater, she's an evil person, and all she does is sing songs to kids every day? Perfect. Let's do it. Have the Department of Justice investigate Miss Rachel for ties to Qatar. Do you guys remember when the Stop Anti-Semitism organization did that? Perfect. Let's do it. This is how far they'll go. They'll have the Department of Justice investigate somebody like Miss Rachel for ties to Qatar. Remember when that happened back in the summer? Now, that's Miss Rachel. Okay, that's Miss Rachel. Imagine, guys, I'm like ready. I'm like ready for it. But imagine somebody like me, like Wally Rashid, and all of a sudden Laura Loomer just spreads fake propaganda. And this time, Stop Anti-Semitism is telling the Department of Justice, investigate Wally Rashid. It's not going to go well for me. You see how this is kind of how they work? So this is kind of the stuff you're up against. And I guess the only way you can really face it and try your best is just combat it with the truth, you know. And if I have ever, and I've asked you guys, and a lot of times in my comments, you guys have called me out on certain things where I might have mispronounced somebody, I might have said a fact and I forgot a different piece of it, and I'm always collaborative in the comments. And I think the only way to really fight these people is with the truth. Because the truth speaks for itself. That's the one thing they don't have on their side, and that's why they have to pour so much money into everything they're doing, because they're battling the truth. And up until now, it's worked. Up until now, it has worked spreading lies. Up until now, it has worked hiding the truth. But it's 2025, heading on 2026, and the lies don't work anymore. So you know what? I look forward to it. I look forward to seeing where their $725 million worth of BS goes. And the more they do this, I think they're going to be instigating more people like me to begin speaking up. That's already what's been happening. I think it's going to continue to happen. And as they do, and as Israel pushes this BS propaganda, people are going to revolt even more. I think that the more they do it, the more backlash they're going to receive, because I don't think you can propagandize you can't justify the apartheid in the West Bank. Okay. You can't justify the onslaught in Gaza. Now they're going to try to suppress that using media, using algorithms, and we'll see. We'll see what the public, how the public responds. I hope that the public is able to see through it, and I hope that more voices start to speak out against it. And we just really got to band together. Everybody, because at the end of the day, they're, again, a concerted mafia, a mafia that will attack anybody and take you down. And there is no depth of their depravity. They will keep going. They will keep on going. So, guys, that's that's really it for my rant here. Yeah, we'll see how things unfold moving forward. If you want to support my channel, would really appreciate it if you give this video a thumbs up and click the subscribe button. Helps me reach more people. Also, yeah, if you want to support my channel, I do this as a full-time job, so would always appreciate super chats and gifts. Otherwise, I'll see you guys in the next